The topic of this video is a difficult one. It was certainly difficult to produce. Some may find it difficult to watch, but it may save your life or the life of someone you love. Stay with me, please. Hi, Rich Reese here for Club Caleb. In this video, we'll tackle our most challenging subject to date. I hope you'll commit to staying with me to the end of the video. Our topic is suicide. This video is being posted in September because it is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. Let me emphasize right now, I am not a therapist or a counselor. I have no specific training in suicide prevention. As with all Club Caleb videos, I am sharing the results of my research and my own points of view. If you need to talk to someone, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. We'll have the number at the top of the screen throughout this video. The service is available to anyone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All calls are confidential. Suicide rates have been increasing. To meet the demand, 7 countries and 8 states now allow some form of euthanasia or assisted suicide. Among these, Switzerland stands out as the only place that allows assisted suicide of non-citizens. This has given rise to a new industry called suicide tourism, also known as euthanasia tourism. All this is both interesting and tragic, but how does it relate to us in Club Caleb? It's relevant because suicide rates rise with age and are highest among our demographic. Sociologists group their subjects' ages in various ways, and the specifics may vary accordingly. But the generality is a solid truth. Suicide rates increase as age increases. Suicide attempts are highest among millennials and Gen Z. Their rates are 9 times higher than those for age 50 and higher. But suicide rates for females are highest at ages 45 to 54, and for males ages 65 and over. In my mind, those are the ages when females and males experience a loss of self-worth. In American society, the value of females is still closely associated with motherhood. By the time moms are ages 45 to 54, the kids have likely moved out and started their own lives. If a woman's self-worth is closely associated with being actively involved in her children's lives, and she now finds herself excluded from the active participation in their lives, what worth remains? This is also the age with the onset of menopause. If a woman has chosen to not conceive, or has been unable to do so, menopause brings a note of finality to that. There's a host of other changes accompanying menopause, of course, and they may also play roles in suicide rates. But we're looking only at the aspect of self-worth derived from parenting and the effect of menopause on that. For males, our society associates self-worth with work. It's the first thing we want to know when someone mentions an interesting male they've met. Oh, and what does he do for a living? It's part of every male's introduction. Hi, I'm Richard Reese, writer and photographer, and more recently, YouTuber. But by age 65, most males are no longer active in the workplace, no longer contributing to the operation of any employer because they're no longer employed, at least not in any meaningful way. If no employer is deriving worth from my efforts, I have no worth. If you felt good about yourself because of your parenting skills or professional accomplishments, those pillars aren't there to support your assessment in your later years. And no amount of travel, no new car, no book club can make up for that. Worse, American society is largely constructed to encourage selfish values that do not support self-worth. We are groomed to consume, and the reason this is so successful for our groomers is that satisfying our selfish desires through consumption is always temporary. I look at this more in my book, Transformed, Not Conformed, where I discuss hedonic adaptation and other factors that prevent true fulfillment by way of consumption. For this discussion, it's enough to know that consumerism does not replace those sources of self-worth that erode as we age. This loss of self-worth correlates with some of the warning signs listed by the NIMH, such as relationship problems. Since parenting is among our most intense relationships, cessation or diminution of that relationship can certainly be classified a problem. Other examples include job or financial problems, which may well include retirement, as well as being isolated and feeling like a burden. Feeling like a burden is a statement often associated with suicide. A common corollary is, I felt the world would be better off without me. We sometimes hear that suicide is the ultimate act of selfishness. I'm ashamed to admit that I have parroted that statement myself. The fact is that many who contemplate, attempt, or succeed at suicide do so because they really believe it will make life better for others. It's not an act of selfishness, but an act of selflessness springing from a poor or distorted sense of self-worth. As NIMH points out, suicide is complicated, and there are many underlying factors. But I think the loss of self-worth is a major factor. What's the answer? The mindset I adopted years ago is that my self-worth is dependent upon my worth to others. I know I've had a successful day if the world is a better place or if someone's life is better because of me. My financial net worth, my possessions, my experiences, my accomplishments have no place in this paradigm. My advice is to find a way to be of service to others and thereby of value to others. This is my advice to young and old, male and female, but especially to anyone struggling to find a reason to carry on with life. I may be weary of my lot in life, even to the point where life no longer seems worth living. But if I know I have value in the lives of others, that sense of value never goes away. There's never a day where being of service to others doesn't give me ample reason to live. So how do you find a way to be of service? Local opportunities for volunteer service abound, but it can be tough to find one that provides real meaning. Older adults are often marginalized, and this can happen in volunteer organizations. Being a ticket taker for the local garden club hardly equals the challenge and reward of shepherding children through adolescence or participating in a product launch. National organizations do a better job. Habitat for Humanity is one example, but they may offer only sporadic involvement depending on the projects they have in your area. Big Brothers Big Sisters is another option. I enjoyed my involvement with them and am still in touch with one of my matches, even though he's now married and a father of two. With Big Brothers Big Sisters, you have more control over the extent and frequency of your involvement than with Habitat for Humanity, depending, of course, on the availability of your match. The Corporation for National and Community Service is a federal government entity. Part of their mission statement says, "We help millions of Americans improve their lives and the lives of their fellow citizens through service." AmeriCorps is one program under the CNCS umbrella that you probably have heard of. Senior Corps is another program, one specifically for Americans aged 55 and up. Participants I've spoken with in both of these programs speak highly of their experiences. Links to these organizations are among those posted in the description for this video. This is the part of the video that may be the hardest for those who have chosen to adopt a negative perception of Christianity. My advice is to be of service to God. Caleb served the Lord by serving his fellow Israelites. It's important to note that the Israelites rejected Caleb and Joshua's advice out of fear and doubt, but that did not diminish Joshua and Caleb's desire to serve God. They fulfilled their mission despite the failure of the Israelites to follow through on God's promises. I start every morning with Bible study, and my opening prayer is that I receive wisdom and courage in that time so I can be a better agent of God's love and grace throughout the day ahead. My prayer is always answered. I always find fulfillment in the outcome. My self-worth is always bolstered by this. My life has value to me as long as it has value to God. When my life has no more value to God, my life has no more value, period. When that day dawns, it will be time for me to be called to my eternal home. If your faith or lack thereof doesn't allow that commitment, find another. Being of service won't eradicate all the underlying causes for suicide, but finding a way to be of worth to others, you will find worth in your own life. For information on suicide, including risk factors, action steps for helping someone who seems suicidal, and much more, Google NIMH suicide for links to those topics on the website for the National Institute of Mental Health. Thank you for staying with me through this difficult topic. I hope you got value from watching this video. If so, please click the like button. Consider subscribing to our Club Caleb channel, and if you do, click the little bell so you'll be notified when we post new videos. I'll share my script for this video with our Patreon supporters. I wing it a bit as I'm recording, so it'll be the script, not a transcript. But it should be a big help to those who want to see the structure of the piece. I don't have a conversation starter question this time, but please do share your relevant thoughts, concerns, and insights in the comments below. That's it for this video. I'm Rich Reese. Thanks for joining me today, and remember, your life has worth.